WJMS Radio. Radio reimagined.
Keep it locked.
Hey everybody, this is your girl Jams and you are listening to WJMS Radio. I am so excited to bring to you an exclusive interview with our July artist to watch. This is none other than Miss Kayla Jay, and I'm very, very, very excited to talk to her today because if you haven't had a chance already, it's been 6 days into her rotation. You should have already been checking out her music. It's playing every single day on the station from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. So if you haven't had the chance, now is definitely the time to start listening every single day and make sure you check out her debut album called Evolution. It's out right now. Very, very excited. She's our artist to watch, and I just want to say first and foremost, I love your music. Like I had the opportunity to watch the music video that you had for Anything I Can, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. So first of all, welcome to WJMS Radio. Thank you for being our July artist to watch. And how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be doing this interview with you.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm up here in New York. You're down there in South Jersey, of course. It's a little bit rainy up here, unfortunately. But you know what? I'm kind of thankful for it because we've been having this real heat wave up here that has just been awful.
Oh, it's terrible. The humidity.
Yeah, it's like I can't even breathe. So my mom was like, oh, you're in New York and it's 90. It must be so beautiful. And I'm like, Mom, have you ever been in New York on a 90-degree day? It's awful. It's like
the smells must be interesting in the city.
Oh, it's terrible. It's so bad. And it's so much worse when it rains too, because then it's like it just kind of like washes up all that smell and you're like, oh God. But you know, it is what it is. So anyway, let's dive into it. Let's talk about you as an artist and the music that you're putting out and everything that's going on with you. So of course, the first question everybody's always got to ask is, how did you get started in music, and how did you sort of know that you wanted to be an artist? Was there like some kind of defining moment in your life or a light bulb in your life where you realized that you really wanted to be a singer?
I really feel like it was gradual because as a kid, you know what I mean? Like I sang and stuff just around the house, but I didn't have any idea that I had any talent that, you know, someone else might not have. But my mom got me a keyboard at one point, and I just wasn't interested in lessons. I wanted to do my own thing. And then in 8th grade, I think it was 7th or 8th grade, Lauryn Hill released Miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
Yes.
And that was like mind-blowing to me. I was like, oh my God, she sounds like an angel. Every song was amazing. I listened to it over and over again, and I was like, you know what, I want to sing. So, you know, I didn't really take any steps towards that at the time. I've always had like horrible stage fright.
Yeah.
So I just kind of kept it to myself, and I went to a neighbor's house at one point. They had a karaoke machine. You could stick a cassette tape in the karaoke machine and like record yourself.
Wait. You're starting to show your age now. Yeah,
I know. It's okay. So, you know, I started singing on that. I would go over there just to do that. And then when I was in high school, along came Alicia Keys' Songs in A minor. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh God, I have to play the piano again. So I started playing again. I took classical lessons, and it just wasn't satisfying to me as just doing my own thing. And I met my husband, and he bought me a little like starter bundle, I guess, and I started making my own music. And it wasn't like an instant thing where the things I was making was amazing. You know what I mean? It was like, just me having my own little style, and here I am.
Awesome. So you said you play the piano. Actually, how many instruments do you play, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm pretty good at like picking stuff up and doing things with it. So like,
wow.
I play the piano, but I can play a little bit of guitar. I took flute lessons, and you know, I can play around with the violin a little bit.
Wow.
You know, I wouldn't say I'm amazing, but I can do things with stuff.
That's pretty impressive for me. All I can play is the spoons, so that's all I got. And that's not even a real instrument.
You have to have rhythm to do that.
Yeah, a little bit, you know. But I always wanted to play an instrument, but it just never kind of materialized for me. Like I never got to be in the band when I was younger and, you know, play on the trombone or the cymbals or anything. It was just like, it just never happened. So it's one of those sort of like failure to launch type situations where it's like I probably could have been really good at some kind of instrument. I just never really explored it. But, you know. Yeah. Other avenues. So in terms of, I know you already mentioned this, you know, Lauryn Hill, Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, and Alicia Keys, Songs in A minor, but as an artist, there's always somebody who you kind of admire and who you kind of look up to and, you know, maybe sort of not look as a mentor, but maybe just kind of look as a role model, you know, like somebody that you look up to musically. So who was that person for you? It doesn't necessarily have to be somebody famous. It could be even an unsigned artist that you know locally, or it could be somebody famous. But who was that artist that you kind of look up to, or even somebody that you draw inspiration from when you're creating your own music?
It's definitely somebody famous. I have a lot of inspirations, but I think somebody that I've always really admired, probably one of the only people I feel like I would be starstruck around, because I'm pretty even-keeled, is Lady Gaga, actually.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't entranced by Just Dance, but when I heard Poker Face for the first time, I fell in love. I was like, this girl's doing something different. And then I found out she writes her own stuff, and I went to see her, and she plays the piano, and she's really, like, so underrated as an actual musician.
Yeah.
And her that I'm like, how can you people not see that she's amazing? She is. I really really admire her, and she's philanthropic, and she's kind, and she's willing to put that sort of human vulnerability out there. Like, to me, she's like, wow.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. She is super underrated as an artist. But what was it about Poker Face that kind of stuck out for you? Like, was it the production? Was it the lyrics? Was it her delivery? What was it that was just like, that sort of resonated with you?
I liked the production a lot. That intro caught me from the beginning, and then the lyrics. I'm always very lyrically driven, but like, it was just the whole package, honestly. But that intro really caught me. And then when I found out she played the synths on that, and she wrote it, and it just made me want to, like, dance. Just the whole thing just made me want to dance. And it takes a lot to make me want to dance.
I hear you. So you said something that I want to touch on real quick, because you said that you're big into lyrics. And I'm the same type of way. Like, I'm the kind of person, even though I don't sing, I don't play any instruments, I'm not musical like that. Music is a big part of my life, obviously, with a radio station and everything. Mm-hmm. I'm a big fan of an artist who can tell a story. So a lot of the music that's out right now doesn't always resonate with me, doesn't always stick with me, because it's like, you're not saying nothing. You're not saying anything different. You're not saying anything new, you know. So as an artist who's in the industry right now, how do you feel about the state of music currently? You know, is there like a particular artist that you really, really like that's out right now, or are you sticking more with the old school? Because I feel like I keep, you know, defaulting back to like old school Nas and like Common and stuff like that, and like, just, I'd rather opt for the old than listen to some of this new stuff, because most of it you can't even understand at this point. But it's difficult. So as an artist, how do you kind of feel about the artist industry right now?
I have to agree with you. I think that overall what's popular tends to be what is memorable, and I think what's memorable is things that are repetitive. I read an article about the difference between music now and music maybe, you know, a decade and a half ago, where one song now might have 80 words that are just like repeated over and over again. And then say you look at Eminem from, and I'm not a big Eminem fan, but like, you can't deny that he's lyrically talented. Yeah. You go back, you know, 12 years, and he's got a song that's got, you know, 500 different words. It's a lot harder to remember those songs just because of the sheer volume of things you have to remember. But honestly, it's a little bit dismaying to me, because I like lyrics. I like writing. I like telling a story, and it can be hard to get things out there that fit that sort of script, just because that's not what the mainstream
is going for.
It's just not like that right now. And like, there's a guy on YouTube that says, oh, here's how you make Chainsmokers songs. And I'm not putting anybody in Chainsmokers down or whatever. They're big poppy songs, but I don't find anything gratifying about them other than that they sort of just stick in my head. And it's just a very simple, formulaic kind of deal. And I'm like, I just don't know where the artistry is.
Yeah, exactly.
Right now.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I was talking about this the other day with somebody about how you don't see artists who like legitimately play instruments anymore. Like, now it's all like beat kits, and it's, you know, auto-tune and all this extra stuff. Like you said, it's a very technical sort of evolution of music at this stage of the game. So like, you don't really see artists actually legitimately sit there and play the piano, which I think is why Alicia Keys, kind of one of the big things that attracts people to Alicia Keys is the fact that she's actually playing the piano while she's singing her songs, you know. So you just don't see that type of artistry anymore. It's like, unfortunately, a dying sort of, I guess, breed, if you will. And it's kind of sad because there's something really good about just hearing like a legitimate instrument in somebody's song that you're like, it does something to your body. Like it makes you feel good, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing with creating the music nowadays. Like, you know, people with lyrics are not really being as storytelling as they used to be, and people creating music are not using as real instruments, you know, as they used to use back in the days too. So I guess like the whole style of music is changing. It's kind of a little sad, but I guess, you know, things change and times evolve and all that kind of stuff, and it's good on some levels that things are evolving, but it does make you a little reminiscent of the old days and how things used to be. And I feel so old saying that, like it's like makes me feel elderly, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm not this person, but I guess I kind of am at this stage of the game.
Well, you know what? I feel the same way. Like, I was listening the other day to actually Lauryn Hill, her Unplugged album.
Yeah, it's a good one too.
Where it was just her and a guitar in front of an audience.
Yep.
And that's one of my favorites too, because it's like the message she's delivering in a lot of her songs is like, wow, I never thought about that. Or it's just like, it's just a listening album. Like, you can sing along if you want to, but like what you really want to do is just sit there and listen.
Yeah, and vibe out, you know, like just vibe to the music and enjoy it. Yeah. Exactly. So, you know, we're talking a little bit about style and stuff here. What exactly would you describe your style as? If you had to, and I hate to ask this question to artists because I know most folks don't like putting themselves in a box or labeling themselves, but if you were in an elevator with somebody and you had to describe your artist style to somebody in 30 seconds or more, you know, what would you say, and how would you sort of describe yourself to people?
I would describe myself as having music that is sort of a pop R&B fusion. Mm-hmm. My voice doesn't always fit a pop sound, but I like some pop music. I like a lot of pop chord progressions. I can't help it. I just do. And I admire a lot of R&B singers, and I admire a lot of the style there. I think just my affinity for that, I just end up with, I don't sit down and create something that is a specific thing.
Yeah.
What you're hearing is just what happened. You know what I mean? Like, it just happened.
Yeah, I like that. I definitely like that. Yeah, it was as I was listening to your album too, I was like, you know, your voice, the way your voice is, you're a very good R&B artist, but you could also lend yourself very well to like a rock and roll type of style too. You know what I mean? Like you could do something like that. I think that would actually swing and work for you as well. Like it's almost like Pink. You remember how Pink started out as R&B and then she sort of transitioned over into like sort of like rock but pop type situation. Like I feel like you could do almost the same thing because your voice just kind of has that sort of range to it, which is really cool to me.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So I want to talk a little bit more about like you as an artist before we hop into your actual tracks, into your actual music. You know, as you mentioned earlier, I know Alicia Keys and Lauryn Hill, Lady Gaga are big influencers for you. But in terms of creating your music, who, in your opinion, would be like a dream collaboration? Like if somebody slid in your DMs and was like, hey, Kayla, I think we should do a track together. Like who would that person be that would have you like totally fangirling out and just like having a moment of just craziness?
Oh, gosh, that's really hard to...
It doesn't have to be just one. You could pick a couple of different people, you know, but just kind of let us know why you chose the people that you chose.
Ryan Leslie, I think.
Oh, that's such a good answer. Oh, my God.
Ryan Leslie. It's got to be Ryan Leslie because you know what? I will sit there and watch YouTube videos of him producing songs.
Yeah.
And I love his voice, too, but, like, I love just the way his brain works in terms of the way he puts his tracks together.
Yeah.
Definitely, like, I think he would be at the top of my list, to be honest.
And he's another totally underrated sort of producer and artist at the same time. You know, like, he totally falls off the radar for people.
And he's a multi-instrumentalist. He's, like, incredible.
Yeah.
There's a video where he orders a pocket trumpet, and it shows up, like, an hour later because he's in New York, you know, so he can just get whatever he wants whenever he wants it.
That doesn't work like that for the record, but yeah. I'm like, wait a minute, an hour later, hold on, New York traffic alone is not going to allow that to happen. But I guess if you're Ryan Leslie, that works.
Yeah, if you have money, it works. So he's in there, and he's got like a solo cup full of change, and he's like playing that, and then his pocket trumpet shows up. And he starts playing on this pocket trumpet. I'm like, how are you? Okay. And then this whole thing comes together. I'm like, oh, God, he's amazing. He's amazing. I'm like in love.
Yeah, I hear you. So who else has that effect on you in terms of an artist that would be a dream collabo for you?
You know, I'd really like to write something for Rihanna.
Okay.
I would. I'd like to write for her. not even, it has nothing to do with the fact that it would probably like instantly go like top 10 just because she is.
Yeah.
I like her voice. Like, I really love her voice. And I'd love to collaborate with Lady Gaga, but I don't know how that would ever happen because she writes and she does her own music and everything. But that would be my dream, dream three, I think.
You got to shoot your shot. Like, this is 2018. Did you see the story of the girl who like slid into Michael B. Jordan's DMs and asked if he would take a picture with her, and he like showed up and they actually did it? Girl, shoot your shot. It's like,
you're right.
Don't be afraid at this point. I feel like anything goes in 2018 right now. Like, you might as well just try it.
It's true.
Before we jump into the music again, in terms of the artist name that you chose, Kayla Jay, is there a significance behind that name? Was it like a nickname that you had as a kid, or is it just like your real name and you're just going by your real name, or what's the story behind your artist name?
Well, my real name is Kayla and my married name is Jump.
There you go.
And I just go Kayla Jay.
I'm like, I wonder, because you always try to dive into artist names to see like what's the reason they chose this. What is the underlying reason? Sometimes like, no, that's just my name. Oh, all right.
Yeah. There's nothing special about that part.
But the music speaks for itself, and that's special enough, so that's good.
Thank you.
No problem. So let's talk about the music now. Let's get into it. So you just dropped a debut album. Really, really excited for you. It's an awesome album, first of all. Like, congratulations on that, because it's really, really good. How was release day for you? Like, what was that like the day that your album released? Like, was it super exciting? How, like, over the moon were you about releasing your album?
I was nervous, to be honest with you, because, I had 3 or 4 tracks out. And it's hard as an indie artist to get your name out there and get your music out there.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know the numbers because, they don't update in real time. So I don't know who's listening or where they're listening from or if they're buying it or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, and also like just on the other side of the coin, it's difficult because I sit in my basement in my home and I make these tracks and I record and I write and, then I send it off for engineering. Occasionally I'll go into a bigger studio to record, but like this thing is me on a plate and I'm like, okay, here everyone, I hope you like it. And, you're just sort of sitting there waiting to find out what people think about it because you're really kind of releasing a piece of yourself into the world. So on release day, I was actually in nursing school, taking care of people and giving medication and stuff like that. And so when I got out, I had like a bunch of comments and stuff and everything was largely positive. But I really didn't have time to think at that time. And I'm still sort of like, okay, well, let's see what the response is going to be. So, it's only been a couple of days. I'm still just sort of waiting. But I've gotten good feedback so far. So I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. And I hope that the rotation that you have with the station gets you a little bit more feedback and stuff like that, too, in terms of just exposure. Because it is hard being an indie artist. I've talked to a lot of artists, and, the biggest struggle is, like, getting your name out there. It's like times have changed where, back in the day, I say back in the day, God, I'm so old. Anyway, back in the day, you had to sort of peddle your mixtape out the back of your car and, you were just, slapping posters on whatever free walls you could find, just hoping that people would spread the word and word of mouth would take over and sort of promote for you. And nowadays, it's like we have this whole beast called social media. And you would think that with the ability to connect to so many people around the world and even people in your backyard, it would be easy to get people to buy into what you're doing. And it's not. It is not. That's why it's like it's so much of a science behind it. So it is nerve-wracking. And most of the artists that I talk to tell me that's one of the biggest struggles they have is just getting their name out there and getting people to support what they're doing. It's like Beyonce and Jay-Z can drop an album at midnight with no promotion whatsoever and everybody downloads it and streams it and it's great, but it's like you have a whole network of friends and family, you drop an album and everyone's like, oh, was that today? And you're like, really? It's like I poured my heart and soul into
what
this.
I think it is? I honestly think it's this like, okay, so we have the internet and at this point, I would say most people have the ability to just look something up on their phone.
Yeah. And
the more the easier things get for us, the less we feel like doing things. So, like, for example, if I have to, pay a bill, right, and I can just do it from my phone, but I'm sitting here like, oh, I don't feel like going to that website, like, I don't feel like doing it right now, you know what I mean? So the easier things are, the easier it is for you to click on a link, the more you're just like, I'll just do it later. Like, that's what I've encountered with people.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, it's the same thing when it comes to even just our attention spans as people now. Like, ever since Twitter and ever since, like, Instagram and Vine, if a video is more than, like, 2.5 minutes, I'm probably not gonna watch it. Like, the attention span is just not there anymore unless you grab my attention. And then it's even worse, because if you're on Facebook and you're watching a video and you're into the video, then you see in that little left-hand corner, ad starting soon. You're like, oh, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Forget it. And you just leave. It's like we don't have the attention span that we used to have anymore. And it does, while things make it easier for us to have access to things, you're 100% right. It is so much more difficult now to reach people and to get people to pay attention. Ugh.
It's a struggle.
It is.
Across the board.
It's like, and you see the people, oh, yeah, started my business, and 3 days later I had millions of followers and millions of people, and I'm like, no you didn't, like, no, that didn't happen. It's frustrating, but anyway, I digress. So let's talk about the music overall. You put your debut album out, like you said, it's basically, you want to play, you're serving it up to people, it's you, unfiltered, unadulterated. What do you hope at the end of the day that people take away from your music, whether it's the whole album or just your singles?
I really just want people to be able to relate. I don't think that there's anything on that album that isn't something someone has felt at some point. So, like, I think, and I've said this before, I think that when you release a song and you're singing and stuff like that, you might be putting it out there, but to the person who's listening, it now becomes a conversation. So you're talking to you're talking to your listeners one-on-one.
Yeah.
And you want to have a conversation that they can feel something, they can feel something from. I want somebody to listen to What If and be like, oh my God, I've been there. I know how that is. Things like that. I just want to come across as human and relatable.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's, all any artist wants, is for people to relate to their music, because I think more so than, I want you to be able to, shake your butt to my music. I want you to be able to dance to my music. I want you to listen to my music and relate to it. I think that's why some of the artists that, you look up to, and even artists that I look up to, it's not their newer discography that I look up to. It's the old stuff, before they got super duper famous. It's like the original stuff, like songs for Alicia Keys, the songs in A minor, amazing CD. That was an amazing album. Lauryn Hill put out one album. She put out one album, and that's all she needed. Like, people literally still vibe off that album.
Off it now.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, what other artists can say they put out a single solitary album and have literally lived off that album for, like, years upon years?
Right.
And even, like, Mary J. Blige is probably one of my top 3 favorite artists of any genre of all time. And My Life has such resonance with me, and I don't know what it is, like, because I mean, she was going through some crazy stuff on that CD, like, definitely, drugs and all that, so that's, not something I can relate to, of course, but I mean, I felt the emotion in her music, and it resonated with me, and that's the kind of stuff that, like, people hope for. That's the kind of stuff that, as an artist, that's all you want. It's like, I want people to just be like, yo, that album right there is a classic. Like, I can listen to it, from intro track to outro track. I don't ever want to skip a song. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what you hope for as an artist. And I'm really glad to hear you say that, you hope that people identify and can relate to it, because that's all anybody ever wants.
Yeah. And that's all I want. Like, I can't relate to, honestly, I can't relate to popping bottles and whatever else. I'm not a club person unless I'm getting paid to perform there. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not, that's not my life. That's not. So, like, when I listen to certain things, I want to hear that rawness. I want to hear pain and happiness and, like, things that we all feel and things that we can apply, like, that I can interpret are relevant to me,
Yeah, definitely.
That's all I want for my music.
Let's take a quick break here and debut your single, Anything I Can. And then when we come back on the other side, we're going to talk about, just sort of what the inspiration was behind the song, the music video, and the rest of the album itself. So why don't you go ahead and intro that song for everybody, and we'll be right back.
All right. Hey, this is Kayla Jay, and you're about to hear my single, Anything I Can.
All right.
To don't know why. I don't really care because I know you're mine, and they don't get a say. They can all tell us we're crazy for listening to our hearts, but at the end of it all, love is the foundation, baby, it's not a wall, and they can't knock us down. No, now that I have you, I'm not letting go, baby. I'll be your rock, I am telling you, so you can count on me, lean on me, just let me know. Give me the where, the when, I'll do anything I can to keep you with me, 'cause we can never let them come between something that they cannot even see. It's just you and me, said it's just you and me. Now that I have you, I'm not letting go, baby. I'll be your rock, I am telling you, so you can count on me, lean on me, just let me know. Give me the where, the when, I'll do anything I can. Now that I have you, I'm not letting go, baby. I'll be your rock, I am telling you, so you can count on me, lean on me, just let me know. Give me the where, the when, I'll do anything I can.
Welcome back to WJMS Radio. This is your girl Jams. I have special guest and our featured artist for the month, Miss Kayla Jay, on the phone with me right now. We are talking all about her brand new debut album called Evolution. It is on iTunes, on all your favorite streaming platforms. Anywhere you can get an album, it's there. So make sure you go cop that. If in the meantime you want to hear the music beforehand, you can check out all of her tracks airing every single day on WJMS from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, of course. So before the break, we were talking a little bit about the artistry behind creating the album and, you know, all the work and stuff that went into it and some of the inspiration behind it. But I want to talk about the single. So where did the inspiration behind this song come from? And also I want to talk about the music video, which I thought was really, really good. But first and foremost, what was the inspiration behind the single?
The inspiration behind the single. Okay, well, it started out as a project for another producer who is related to my husband, who's my manager. He's in Jamaica. He's a pretty big deal, but I'm not going to drop names. And he asked me to produce 2 tracks for him.
Okay.
And so I did. And what I did was I started out with sort of kind of a reggae-inspired track, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I started writing the song, and I just wrote the song from my heart, really. Just about, this is anything I can, doing whatever you can to be with the person that you want to be with, regardless of outside influences or situations. And he didn't really move on it. And I was like, I need this. I need to have this. It belonged on my album. So I kept it, and we ended up making it a single. I'm really proud of it, actually.
Yeah, it's a really, really, it's actually the track that brought me to you as an artist. So I thought it was really great. And then the music video I thought was really cool, too. You had 2 dancers kind of like creating a choreography and dancing with each other. So where did the idea for that video kind of come from? Like, where did that thing, and it definitely has a reggae feel to it, yeah. So, but where did that whole idea come from for the video?
We wanted something simple. And I have 2 friends that are dancers, and they're good friends of mine.
I was going to ask that.
They're talented, obviously.
Yeah.
They're talented. And we spent the day in a dance studio just trying to sort of like build some chemistry, and just a relationship is a figurative dance between 2 people. You know what I mean? Like,
Ooh, I like that.
It is. Everybody makes their move, and either that move is gonna ruin the dance, or it's gonna enhance the dance. You know what I mean? So there's a balance to it. And I think that when it's meant to be, the dance looks like a tango. And when it's not, it looks like
Two people dancing.
Yeah.
So creating chemistry for the two folks, did they not know each other going in? Like you said, they're close friends of yours. Were they not like close friends of each other too? Or was it like two friends that you just happen to know?
There are two different people that I happen to know. The dancer, Cherise, she's really talented. I like her a lot. I went to high school with her, actually. And I reached out to her and I said, listen, you know, I know you do your dance fitness and stuff. Would you want to be in this video? And then Gray, the guy, is somebody who I met through a mutual friend that we have, and he's a pretty cool guy. So we all had like little text conversations before the actual meeting, but they only met that day.
Wow. That's pretty good, actually, because, I mean, the chemistry is definitely there for two folks that only met that one day. So you did a pretty good job. I thought they knew each other.
They did great.
Yeah, like it actually looks like they might be like a couple, like in a relationship, the way they dance together and sort of vibe together. So the chemistry came off very well in the video. So I'll definitely tell you that.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were having a good time hamming it up.
Yeah, I bet. So in terms of the album itself, how long did it actually take you to put it together? Like, was it something where you had these tracks and you put them all just together on the album, or was it something where you had like a theme or an idea in your head and you crafted the album around it?
I had like 75% of the tracks done just because I go down into my basement and I make music.
Yeah.
And I kind of try and decide what belongs together. And because this is called Evolution, not until like 3/4 of the songs were done. You know, I just wanted it to be an evolution through like losing love and finding love and the uncertainty that goes with it. I would say it took me about a year. I had one track on there, the very first track on the album, Made of Stone.
Yep.
So that was a track that was done about 3 years ago. I just really like it. And I had never done anything with it. So I re-recorded it and put it on there. But everything else was done within the last, like, year to 15 months, just between going to school, really.
That's awesome. And it's a really, really, like I said, folks, it's a really, really great album. If you haven't had a chance to check it out yet, it's called Evolution. You can stream it, and it's also playing every single day on WJMS from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m., so you can check it out there as well. What's the inspiration behind the name Evolution? Like, did you change from something? Like, I'm asking the question as if, like, have you put out an album before and this is like an evolution from that, or like, have you changed from, you know, a certain other, I guess, person that you used to be, maybe? Like, just what's the meaning behind it?
Evolution literally applies to the process of losing love or losing a relationship, or maybe not loving somebody anymore, to finding somebody new and going from, okay, let's have this casual thing, to, oh my God, I like this person. What am I going to do? Like, what if it doesn't work out?
Yep.
To, oh, I really love you and I want to make this work. So that's where it comes from. Because I had the hardest time. My manager was like bugging me for like months. Are you going to tell me the name of the album? And I'm like, I don't know what the name of the album is. Why are you just, I don't care what we call it. And he was like, it's kind of important. So then I made the track Evolution, and I was like, okay, you know what? We're just going to keep it simple. This is what applies to, you know, the general theme of the songs and the overall arch of the album. We'll call it Evolution.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, we're getting ready to wrap up the show here. I want to make sure I give you an opportunity to shout out your contact information and where people can, of course, stream and download the album. But before we do that, what's next for you musically? Like, what do you have coming up on the horizon, and what can we be on the lookout for as the audience and as your fan base?
Well, I've gotten some interest on terrestrial radio for a song or two, so you might hear me.
Okay.
Yeah, you might hear me on some terrestrial stations at some point. I need to get out and perform more. That's on the agenda, but school sort of puts a damper on that sometimes.
Yeah.
However, I'll be done in December, and I'm going to be really throwing myself into music. I'm already actually working on new projects. I've got some collaborations coming out, so I'm looking forward to that.
Okay.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and throwing school in there on top of all that and being married and everything else, like, more power to you, girl. You know how to multitask.
I'm trying. So I don't know how to, but I'm trying. I'm making it work.
One day at a time, right?
Yep, exactly.
All right. So if folks want to get a hold of you and find you on social media and download your album, where can they do that?
Well, you can download it on iTunes. If you have Apple Music, you can stream it. You can stream it on Spotify. It's on Amazon. It's on Google Play. It's on pretty much any place you can stream or purchase an album online. It's there. You can even get a CD if you go through CD Baby. You can find me on Twitter at True Kayla Jay, on Instagram, True Kayla Jay. And you can find me on Facebook, too, if you're a Facebooker. And I'm just under Kayla Jay.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. That is the exclusive interview with our July artist to watch, Miss Kayla Jay. I'm so excited to have you on the station. Your music is really, really great, and I think you're doing wonderful things. I'm super excited to see what's coming up for you on the horizon. So make sure you keep in touch with us and let us know what you're doing, so we can come out and support, because we'd love to, sort of be there. Especially if you're in South Jersey and I'm in New York, that ain't nothing. And I'm in Philly all the time, too. I can come down there. So that ain't no big deal.
There you go. I'm out.
Right.
There you go.
Exactly. So I definitely want to say one more time, thank you for being with us with WJMS Radio. I want to thank the folks who tune in every single day and listen to your music. It's you guys that help make the biggest difference. Make sure you guys are here every single day, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Download Live 365. Search for WJMS Radio. Add us as a favorite. Or you can stream us live from our website 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just go to WJMSradio.com. In the meantime, make sure you're there. Check out Kayla Jay's brand new music. And we'll see you all next time on WJMS.
Thanks for listening. Tune in 24/7 at WJMSradio.com.